All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to Tuesday Notary Titan for Tuesday, December 6th, 2020, December 6th, 2022. My name is Bill Soroka. I'm the founder of Notary Business Builder, the Advanced Notary Mastermind, and author of Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent. I'm here with my incredible co-host who's going to be running a few minutes late today, Laura Biewer. Because she is teaching in some city in California. So she'll be on here in about 5 minutes. Thank you for hanging out with us on the Tuesday. This time is for you to get your questions answered by the experts. You can ask questions about your business, about building relationships, about finding customers, about adding additional lines of service to your business model, pretty much anything that you've got for us. The best way this works is to use the raise hand feature in Zoom. If you don't know where that's at, you can likely find it when you hover over my face with your mouse. There's a little toolbar that opens up on the bottom of the screen with the reactions button, and there's a little button that says raise hand. That might depend on your device and the version that you have. So just type it into the chat. Maybe one of our incredible notaries from around the country can help you find that. So we've got just one quick announcement as far as events, and I'm sure we'll come up with some more. But if you happen to be part of Notary Business Builder, today is our accountability call at 3 p.m. Pacific. That's 6 p.m. Eastern. And we're also tying that into the holiday bingo party that starts a half hour after that. Katrina's joining us from Advent Mobile Notary, and she is going to run that bingo game. We'll have about 3 games just for us in NBB, and I don't want you to miss that. All right, Laura's going to be in just a couple minutes. I have to leave in about a half an hour early again, so thank you for your patience on that, but Laura will take us home in that final half hour. Before we jump into the questions, where I don't see any raised hands yet. So if you're on this call and you're thinking, I have some questions, now is the time to raise your hand. Start loading those up. But in the meantime, I want to introduce you happens to be an NBB member and an amazing notary on the East Coast who also created a planner. Wendy Dean, thank you so much for being here. I just got your planner in the mail. I absolutely love it. I love how you have taken this and expanded it and made such a useful planner for notaries who are in the field. You want to tell everybody about it?
Hi, guys. Thanks, Bill. Well, this has kind of been in the works for a year or two because I am a little planner nerd. So I've been working on this, but it's a planner for a whole year. And it is designed, it has, it has pages for every day of the week. And I don't know, here, let me see if I can, I don't know how well that's going to come through, but it does have time frames allotted for 7 a.m. for those early birds up to 8 p.m. at night. And then I also have a monthly page that has a business tip on it. It has some legal terms in there, some notary wording. I have a rescission calendar, a monthly quote. I think that's the gist of it. So all kinds of goodies for notaries. So if you're interested, I can put my website out in the chat if you like.
I already beat you to it, Wendy.
Oh, you did? Oh,
yeah, well, I've got it out there with a direct link to the products page as well. I'm so impressed with it because what I love about it is that it has a section for to-do items, and then you can schedule it out all the way from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So that's a solid 13 hours, and it makes it totally useful for somebody like me. So thank you for that. I'm a planner nerd as well. I know you've been working hard on this, and it's such a pleasure to share this. I'll be sending this out. I'll send out a link in the email for the replay for today's TNT as well. Thank you for putting that much work into helping other notaries be more productive. I think that's the real gift that we have here, guys. We have not only an industry ripe for innovation and those with the courage to step into that, both for the customers, but also for the notary side. Thank you for sharing this with us, Wendy.
You're welcome.
All right, we've got our first question, our first hand up. Laverne in Florida. Great to see you again.
Thank you, Bill. Actually, I've got a win to give you guys.
All right.
As you know, I did my first apostille about 2 weeks ago. That same customer called me back first part of this last week and had another document to go overseas. So it's a repeat win.
Yeah, nice.
2 for 2. I got a customer for life. Also, I was looking at the chat and I would like to address the new notary. She is rather scared about getting out to meet public. I would recommend that she attend notarymasters.org to get her confidence built up in public speaking. It's a plug for our club. We are going to have our next meeting on the 14th. I will put the link in to the website, to your chat here. Again, it's an open house. It starts at 9:30 West Coast time, 12:30 East Coast time. And with that, I will let the floor to somebody else.
Thank you, Laverne. I appreciate that, and congratulations. I think, again, another demonstration of the real opportunity that we have here. And I think it's so important for us to realize that every appointment that we have can be a gateway to a lifelong customer. If they needed a notary once, they'll probably need a notary again, or they'll know somebody who does. I've noticed this a lot with apostees. If they needed an apostee once, they are probably in a business or involved in something where they're probably going to need more of them. So when you take the time to lay the foundation for a relationship that can actually last beyond one appointment, meaning that you're professional, meaning that you're an expert at what you do, you've taken the time to learn your craft and hone your craft, and most important, take control of the communication. Stay in touch with your database. Your database is the most valuable asset that you have as a small business owner. And there was one other thing I was going to say about that, Laverne.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about, was Toastmasters. Yeah, Dan, do you want to jump in on that?
I will. Just wanted to say, Vern also forgot to mention one other win for him. He, as you know, in Toastmasters, each group of speeches offers a level. Vern's our first member that's earned level 1 in Toastmasters. So right. I wanted to give Vern a kudo in front of the group here for earning level 1. And so, yeah, he finished that up last week with a speech he gave. So anyway, good job to Vern. Notary Masters meets on the 15th, actually, next Thursday. We're going to have a kind of a gathering, not an informal meeting. We're still going to do some Toastmastery stuff, but then we're going to hit it hard again on the 5th of January. So everybody's welcome. Just come and have a good time.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. And I love that advice. That was the other thing that Laverne mentioned, is if you are feeling shy, or if you're feeling unsure of how to present your business, even if it's to the person standing next to you at the grocery store or in front of the Chamber of Commerce at a meeting, Toastmasters can help overcome those fears, and it can boost your confidence. And it's free to participate. And that's what I want to reiterate. It is absolutely free to come into the Toastmasters. There's, of course, membership levels if you decide to do that, but you are welcome to join the calls, listen, and participate with no financial obligation. All right, thank you both for sharing that, Laverne and Dan. And Laura Biewer is now in the house. So real quick, before we go to Joel, I want to bring up Laura. Welcome. And would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. So if there's possible that somebody doesn't know who I am, my name is Laura Biewer. I am a notary. I'm not notary coach. Let's try it again. Bill,
we do that all the time.
I know. So Coach Me Laura is my business, and I'm all about helping notaries be confident and competent in what they do, regardless of whether it is notarizing documents, fingerprinting, performing marriages, apostille work, whatever it may be. The idea is the same. And so glad to have you all here today with me.
Yeah, thank you.
Bill.
I'm glad to have you as well. And we've already brought up Wendy and shared her planner
great.
as well. I know, so you might, if she's still on, Wendy, if you hang around, I think we'll bring you up towards the end of the call as well, just to share
Yeah.
some more highlights of that. Let's jump over to Joel. Staying warm in Montana.
Yeah, it's a little chilly today. Has been for about a week. So this morning I had a signing. It was a purchase, investment property, located in one of the states that requires witnesses. And this particular couple that was buying the real estate, they were very concerned about any of their employees. They own a business in Columbia Falls, which is a city down the road from where I am. And, you know, they really didn't want to use an employee as a witness. And they were just concerned about in the office chit chat. They didn't want their employees talking about them, you know, buying this investment property
Sure.
in Florida, actually. And so like kind of right on the beach. And so one of their employees did act as a witness. Of course, they only witnessed the one document, and it was a mortgage. And so she and I acted as a second witness. She was the first witness, just witnessing their signatures. So my question is, how much information does a witness need to have? And, you know, I covered up everything on the mortgage signature page for the witnesses and for the buyers that indicated it was Florida or anything about the property. And then I thought, you know, is that proper? And I didn't have time to call the NNA hotline because that thought popped into my brain as I was driving there this morning. So anyway, I would just love to hear your comments about that. And
Sure.
I bet Laura knows the answer, and Bill, you probably do too.
Yeah, well, we're gonna bring Laura right up center stage on this one. Laura, what are your thoughts on this?
I do think that there's minimum amount of information a witness needs to know, you know, why they're witnessing a document. You know, when we have witnesses, for instance, on last wills, we say, this is a last will, this is what you're witnessing. And then really the detail of the document isn't their business. They can just go right to the signature line. But I would think to share at least what kind of document it is that's being signed, and that they're the witness to that signature would be at minimum.
Okay, well, that's good. That's what I did. And I was just wondering, you know, was it proper for me to cover up the language on the page that talked about state of Florida and so on? And so it sounds like it really doesn't matter. And there was the witness didn't have any problem with any of it, but
Well, that's good.
I just
But
wanted to make sure I was doing it the right way.
The thing about this is that how clear this, you know, this really isn't covered under the statutes, because witnessing in and of itself isn't a notarial act. So this is where, you know, you have to make some decisions on how you approach this. But if I was asked to witness something, I might say, well, what are you asking me to witness? At least that much.
Right. That's what I would do too. I did take the witness's information, looked at her driver's license and so on. And in Montana, we can't write down driver's license numbers. So, you know, I just write down the expiration date, and she signed my logbook as a witness. And so that was it. I just wanted to make sure I was on the right track. I have some other things that I'd like to ask about, but I'll let someone else go if somebody else has their hand up. And
We have one person, Joel, so we're gonna celebrate. Looks like we're celebrating somebody's birthday real quick. And then we'll jump over to Justin and we'll come right back to you. How's that, Joel?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, cool. What's this I see in the chat, Matt? Is it your birthday?
It is his birthday.
It is every year. This year is a double-digit year that happens to be the same, 44. So thanks for all the birthday wishes, everyone. I really appreciate it.
Happy, well, I remembered, and this, we put on this special Zoom call just for you today, Matt. So happy birthday on TNT. Thanks for celebrating with us. All right, Justin Jones, great to see you. I know you're in Tennessee. How can we help today?
So I wanted to follow up with a question that I had texted you a couple weeks back concerning a signer's awareness.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, when I'm working in a hospital or a skilled nursing facility, how do I evaluate a signer's awareness? If I'm uncomfortable with their awareness, can I speak with medical staff? And what questions should I be asking of them? What if the medical staff say they're unable to sign, but I feel like they are? Just kind of questions in regards to that area of a signer's awareness when it comes to signing documents, especially at hospitals and skilled nursing facilities.
Yeah, well, we got the expert right here. Most of what I learned from Laura. So Laura, what?
Yeah,
This is
Justin, what a great
question.
question. Because I've coached quite a few notaries who are just really uncomfortable to go there in case that happens, questionable. And I would tell you, I always look to medical staff, the nurse or the social services person in hospitals, an ombudsman in skilled nursing. If I have any doubt about that, I right away will look for a second opinion from somebody else. I will not just, well, okay. I wouldn't feel bad at all to ask them. The other thing you can ask them is there anything in their file that would prevent them from signing documents? Because maybe they're on medications that would not be conducive for them signing. So they don't have to share what their diagnosis is or what kind of why they're in there, but they can tell me if there's anything that would prevent them from signing a document. And if I'm unsure, I feel like I don't know that they're alert and aware. I trust my gut. And I say, you know what, I don't think this is a good time. Is it maybe due to medication? Maybe I could come back at another time. You know, then I might say, you know, what's causing this? And if it's a fixable issue, I might adjust myself, come at a different time, or utilize medical staff.
I had the opposite occur to me here recently as well. I went to a hospital and I spoke with the signer, and the signer appeared to be cognizant, be alert, be aware of who she was, where she was, what she was signing. But I went to the nurse, and they said that her file had indicated that she was not competent to sign. Would you say if the nurse or the social services staff said that they're not competent to sign, but you feel like they are, how would you proceed?
I wouldn't proceed. If there was documentation that said they're not competent to sign, that's it, I'm out. Because guess who they're going to come back to later? Why did you notarize that when you were told there was documentation that said she wasn't competent to sign? It's going to come back on me.
Because that could be source, there could be a legal reason for that too. They may have been taken to court. There might be like documentations behind that, Justin. That's why they updated their medical file with that.
That is the approach I had taken, and I just kind of wanted reassurance and to see and kind of how the experts would handle that.
There you go.
Excellent. Great question.
If I could jump in for a second.
Thanks. Yeah, Laverne, you have some perspective on that?
Yes, actually, I did have a situation a few weeks ago where I did go to a nursing facility. It was in reference to doing a change of POA. I think I mentioned this at one of the previous TNTs. A nephew was demanding that they change the POA for her aunt, who was in the facility, because he had been excluded from the original POA. The rest of the family members were adamant about keeping it the way it was. And when I got there, it ended up being almost getting into a brouhaha. So I spoke with the social worker, and I asked her whether or not the lady was competent to sign. I wasn't going to approach the family because they were biased. So I just went right to the social worker, and the social worker said, no, she is not competent to sign because, one, she had been Baker acted into the facility. When I heard that, boom, I walked out the door. Because when someone is Baker acted, they are not able to sign any documents until they're cleared by a medical facility.
Excellent. Good perspective, Laverne. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Joel, I promised you I'd come back.
Yes, you did, and thank you for that. I'm a little embarrassed to say this. I lived in Seattle for 35 years. I had a nice little business going there, and it was all escrow direct. I didn't do any work for signing companies. And since about 2016, I've been wanting to leave and leave Seattle. And, you know, I came to visit Whitefish around that time, and I didn't want to go home. Well, the pandemic hit, and I just decided, heck with it. I'm going, and I'll figure it out when I get here. And what I'm embarrassed about is that I assumed that I could build some kind of a somewhat similar business here, even though, you know, we have a total population in a very large county of under 100,000 people. So what I discovered is that I was doing virtually all of my work with signing companies, and most of it was refis, of course, like we all were doing. And I also discovered, and this is something I probably could have found out, that the escrow companies here in this whole Flathead Valley don't use mobile notaries. They, you know, we're sparsely populated. It's easy to get around. The speed limit 60 miles an hour almost everywhere. Little 2-lane roads, 60 miles an hour, no problem. So what it has turned into is kind of a you know, a side gig, is income wise, and the you know, it's turning into an emergency now. I'm running out of my receivables, and so I'm trying to figure out what to do to just, you know, I'm not worried about keeping a roof over my head, but I am concerned about being able to keep up with bills and so on. And so I've done a couple of apostees, you know, and met Judy Lawrence and Matt at the Notary Symposium that we had in Helena back in May, I think it was. And so I'm thinking, well, do I want to focus more on the apostee business, or, you know, do I want to, you know, try to go deeper into the RON signings? So I'm just kind of at a loss as to what to do next.
Yeah.
So that's not really a question, but
no, well, it is, and I really appreciate you bringing it up, because I know you're not the only one that's feeling that right now. So let's talk about it a little bit. Right now, there's a lot of fear. Things have changed. There's also lots of opportunity if we know where to look and what we want to do. And thank you for sharing too that you've already seen the pivot a little bit towards apostille. It sounds like you're really open to some other things as well. So let's dive in and talk about it a little bit. Laura, do you want to talk about diversification a little bit and what the opportunity is, or have any follow-up questions for Joel?
So, you know, sometimes what we do in one particular geographic area doesn't always translate to another, as you're describing. However, there are other opportunities to not only do mobile notary work or specific work. For instance, you may only have 100,000 people, but I bet some of them are attorneys. I bet some of them prepare estate planning documents. You might want to look at not the general public so much, but rather specialize so that you can start building relationships with somebody, a one-to-many, one attorney who has many clients. That's one idea. The other one is there are things that you can do that aren't required to be notarization that you could do as well if that fits for your geographic area. I need to think about this because I don't know what else you've tried before now. So what have you been doing to generate work? I mean, rather than just to listening, these are my stats, here's my geographic area. What have you been doing to generate work?
Honestly, it's really difficult for me to cold call people.
I'm sure it's hard for everybody. And so there's warming that up
You relate there.
that can happen. But when you say you're cold calling, who are you cold calling?
Well, I was visiting the title companies,
Okay.
the escrow people, but I haven't done it yet with anybody else. I don't know, maybe I'm just I've been living in denial, I think, really, honestly, for months. And yeah, and I can make a bunch of excuses, but they don't really matter.
Well, I'm just trying to get more information because there's a difference between, these are all the circumstances that are around me. So that must mean I can't do it successfully where I'm at. And I don't buy that. I think that you don't know that unless you have experience because it doesn't work for you. The circumstances, regardless of the circumstances, people can successfully pursue business. So that's why I'm wondering, who are you calling or what steps are you taking? Or have you just pulled back, say, you know what, it's obvious the market's dropped off. This is not a place where this is going to work. So it's not working.
Right. And I think, I've been just embarrassed to reach out about it or even talk to anybody about it.
Sure.
And that's why I popped on here, because I just could use the support,
Absolutely.
to get my butt out there. I think, oh, well, I'm this old guy. And, I mean, there's all this self-talk that's not very good. And
Right. All right. So your first pivot is to stop that self-talk. That negative stuff. Let's just start with the easy stuff. Because, when we have the thoughts of I'm too old, I'm too slow, I'm too late, this isn't the right county, those are all excuses and paradigms to keep us where we are. And so when those come into your head, you need to switch that to a different thought, a positive thought. What is it that I can do? And I don't know, Bill, do you want to jump in and talk about some of your ideas?
Yeah. So, Joel, I love that you are being vulnerable and we can have a conversation like this, because sometimes it feels like everybody's just glossing over it and everything's fine. And we're just looking at all the staying positive, and that's super important, but there's a certain reality to this too. And, when I was facing the results of my decisions in some of my failed businesses and all those things, those regrets, I'm like, I should have been doing this. They told me I should have been doing this, but I didn't. That shame cycle can suck us down and make us like frozen, so we don't take any action again. And then we start thinking, well, maybe a call center doesn't sound that bad, right? Or a job or whatever it is, right? There's a certain power that comes with owning your decisions. Like, yep, okay, I should have been doing that, didn't, and now what? So you get total control over your business when you decide that this is what you want. You've loved this business. You probably wouldn't do it if you didn't.
Well, that's actually not true. And
okay, that's interesting.
I was scheduled this month to take my NMLO loan officer exam, and then I pushed it off to January 5th because, you know, the NMLS is right now between November 1st and December 31st. All the mortgage loan officers nationwide have to renew, get new background screening and so on. So I couldn't start working until January. And I recognize the cognitive dissonance that goes along with wanting to, you know, become a mortgage loan officer. I've really enjoyed doing reverse mortgage signings. I've done quite a few of them and know the documents and so on. And, you know, and I took my 20-hour mortgage loan officer course and test back in 2020. I wanted to do it in Seattle, and then COVID came along and it screwed everything up. And so that's, you know, I feel like I'd really like to do that, but I don't want to let go of the notary business. And it could be, for me, I'd be happy if it were a side hustle. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm confused. My brain is going all over the place. It's gotten to the point where I'm not getting enough sleep, and, you know, because I'm worrying, and I can't believe I'm spilling my guts like this. But
No, this is important.
Yeah.
So, and right now, like, and this isn't even just about advice, Joel, this is just about support. We're here for you. Right here in the trenches with you. We're all making our own pivots, our own decisions. But what I would most recommend for you is to block out a period of time, and I mean like 4 or 5 hours, a half a day, a full day, where there's nothing else to distract you, and get the clarity you need for your next step. Because here's what I have learned through all of this, is that if you don't have passion for something, you're not going to have the energy to pull yourself through it. And if you don't have passion, because I mean, the stuff hits the fan all the time, right? You've got to have something that's going to bring you through. If you don't have that passion, that's okay. There's no judgment there.
Yeah.
But you need to make the decision then. It's no longer the priority. Something else has to be. So you get to decide what that is. If it's the loan officer, if it's, you know, whatever anybody on this call might have as their focus, or what their next step is, or what they have to do. Maybe it's temporary. Like, nope, I got to do this. I have to get a job right now, but I'll keep this on the side, or whatever it might be. You just need that clarity. Because when you have that clarity, at least for me, when I have the clarity, I sleep better at night. I might not like what I'm looking at, but at least I know it's there, and I know the steps that I'm going to take, and it's part of a grander plan for me.
well, you know, I've been trying to talk myself into being passionate about doing all these things, and I don't have it, and I can't talk myself into it. It's either there or it isn't. And, you know, the thing that kind of kicked me in the butt was I got a nasty letter from the IRS on Saturday. And, you know, yeah, I'm not totally in trouble, but I'm close. So,
Yeah.
anyway, I just have to, I have to do something to generate some income.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a lot, honestly. So, but I thank you for that. Thank you guys for your support. I haven't, you know, been watching the chat over here, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to go through all the chats and respond. And I thank you all for the support. And I think you're right, Bill, that I need to get clarity on what I want to do. And then I'm going to have to get some clarity on what I have to do right now. And I guess that's where it is.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yes.
You know, and what I didn't want to do is I don't want to be a downer for everybody. And I hope that's not the case, but I just haven't been able to speak these words out loud before right now.
And I'm so glad you did, Joel.
Yeah.
This isn't Debbie Downer stuff. This isn't just complaining. This is just a reality that many of us are facing right now. And I want to thank you for having the courage to bring that to us. So thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
I'm
Bill.
gonna mute myself now.
Okay. All right.
Thanks.
We'll let you off the hook there, Joel. Thank you so much. And
Thanks.
please share with us next time what you get your clarity on.
Okay.
Guys, this stuff is real. It's happening for many people.
Mhm.
Everybody's kind of in their own situation, their own environments, their own passions, right? But they're on a very practical level. Before I go, because I do have to jump off here, but if it makes sense for you, I think there is 3 clear pivots for a notary public that makes sense if you want to keep your business. If you love what you do as a mobile worker, you love the freedom that you have in your schedule, the chance of unlimited income, and you like having being a part of an essential business. The most obvious fit, I think, is living trust presentations through probate and estate planning attorneys. That fits perfectly into what you're doing, especially if you were a loan signing agent. It's very similar work. It just needs a little more expertise and a different ideal customer that you're talking to.
Mhm.
I think fingerprinting is a very viable option for many people in many cities. I'm super excited about it. I'll be moving forward on that up here in Washington. And then the third one was apostille work. Apostille is untapped too, and the demand seems to be ridiculously high right now. There's lots of success stories coming from that. And a very close 4th place, I'd even say field inspections. And I think we're going to see an increase in field inspections as the economy continues to shift. I think more and more people are going to need certain kinds of field inspections too, even with foreclosures and tying all of that into it. I just had an interesting call about the number of pre-foreclosures that are out there too. And a lot of times banks and insurance companies and other companies need that kind of work in a market city too. So there's still, even though it's scary, turbulent, changing, there's always opportunity in markets like this if you want to see them. All right, I've got to go. Laura, thank you so much for taking the
Yeah.
time, guys. Thank you again, Joel. Thank you so much for sparking that amazing conversation. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place.
Thanks, Bill.
Bill, will you end the call?
Yes, I'll take care of the recording.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we're going to keep going here. And yeah, I agree with Bill. Thanks, Joel, because I think you just spoke words that there's other people who are feeling them. So thanks for sharing. And I'm going to move on to Shuli. Go ahead and unmute yourself. You're still muted.
Okay. Can you
There
hear me
you
now?
go. Yeah,
Okay. Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. And nice to finally meet you. I'm in Florida.
Mhm.
I just did a wedding over the weekend. And
Great.
yeah, I do a few weddings. I love to do the weddings. They're fun. But I had an interesting one this weekend. The bride was from Venezuela,
Uh-huh.
and she had an expired passport. And she had the 5-year extension that they have now. And my question was not necessarily for that, because I wound up getting the answer, but the issue came from when I was trying to verify the information that I found about that 5-year extension, because it was just a link to a website. When I tried to call the Secretary of State's office and the notary phone numbers, like I just kept getting the runaround. Like, and I called the NNA and I got an answer from the NNA, but as far as for things that come up like that don't make it into the handbook and don't make it into the statutes, you know, where can we go, like, with the state to validate information when things like that change and know that it's correct? I mean, I called the clerk's office because I figured if it wasn't going to be valid, she wasn't going to get her license. So they got the marriage license, so I knew it was okay. I still called to validate and check. But I was just surprised that I couldn't get an answer from the state directly.
Well, I'm not surprised. And some states are better than others,
Okay.
but there is no one place to go. I mean, you were doing the right things. You went to your state to verify if this was going to make the ID valid to have the 5-year extension. You did the hotline. So, I mean, you did the right things. I have had to check quite a few laws. I mean, the ombudsman deal is not in the handbook either. That's in probate law for us. So that's where I had to find that. So there are lots of different, there's recording laws. That's how I found out about witnessing for certain states, or using signature witnessing. So it's all over the place. And that's why, you know, when notaries are brand new and they just start shooting off the hip and, you know, just fill it out and there we go. I have a problem with that, because it does take time to learn other codes or laws that impact what we do. And I'm sorry, your state wasn't prepared to respond. But remember, the people who answer the phone at your state are technicians.
Mhm.
Not like you talk to the Secretary of State.
Oh,
You talk
yeah.
to a technician who's like a call center, and they don't always have the right answer. Sometimes you got to call more than once. Maybe a different one will give you a better answer. It is tough for us if we're in a state that the state isn't very responsive to us. What I can say is congratulations to you for not giving up and to keep checking for answers on what your question was.
Yeah, I mean, I felt
Sometimes
fairly,
it'll take 3 or 4 times.
yeah, I mean, I felt fairly confident, and they did give me another number, and I called another number for the state, and then they told me, we know we're not at the right place. So I
Yeah.
got it, and I felt pretty confident once they got the license, because if the county didn't get, and they were notaries, so if they didn't issue the license, you know, and I figured, worst comes to worst, if I couldn't do it with the ID, I could have just done it through credible witnesses, and that would have been fine too. So that would
Right. But I
have
will
worked.
say, Julie,
Yeah.
I don't make an assumption that just because the county issued something that it was okay. Again, they're people,
Right.
and they're
Well, yeah, that's why I double
things
checked.
can be issued and it wasn't good.
And it wasn't correct, right? And
Right.
that's why I checked with the NNA also. That's
Right.
that's why I kept yeah. So yeah, so
Yeah.
it's
We have
okay.
a statutory documents like powers of attorney that have incorrect notary wording on it.
Mm-hmm.
So the notary is getting a California durable power of attorney, and then they get to the certificate and they can't trust that a document created from our own statutes has good wording on it. We cannot
Yeah.
trust our own government, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying,
Oh, yeah.
to give us the right direction, to give us the right documents. It really is incumbent upon us
Yeah.
to keep researching it until we're satisfied we've got the information.
Which is a challenge too, because there's
It
been
is.
times with municipalities where you'll get an official document from municipality that
Yeah.
has a notary block that is not complete. And when you pull out a certificate and you say, okay, we need to use the certificate, and they're like, well, why? They're like, you don't know more than the county. It's like, yes, I do.
Yeah.
Like, if I can't do this because it won't be valid, and they argue with you, and
Mhm.
it's crazy, but yeah.
But
So
good
okay,
lesson for
thank
everybody
you very
on the
much.
call.
Thank you.
Good, you're welcome. Good lesson for everybody on the call, that you can't do things and assume that because a government agency created it, that it's right for you. I just had somebody who checked in because I was teaching a class this morning, and she gave me her driver's license with the extension, and she said the DMV said that I could use this for my ID. No. And she said, well, are you sure? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that extensions are not allowed, and the DMV cannot speak for notarization, right? That's not their bailiwick.
Right.
So she was rejected today, unfortunately, because she didn't have anything else. But I'm just saying is that other agencies will say, oh yeah, that's not going to be a problem. You can do that. You can use this. And in fact, they don't know what they're talking about. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shayla, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, everybody. Real quick, Joel, I wanted to say I would highly recommend you save and print out the chat.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of useful information, and it's nice to keep reading all of that encouragement every day. So definitely do that. And then my question, I have two. I recently have noticed a lot of the signing companies have been saying, don't include a copy of the driver's licenses, because it like infringes on their rights and whatnot. But I'm thinking to myself, how many times, how many millions of refinances were done in 2020 and 2021 where, it was required? And
Mhm.
like, what are they just getting more stringent on rules so that way they can, I guess, I
Well,
don't know.
they've changed the rules and they're saying, okay, we recognize there could be an issue here, so we're not going to require it. There are still some that do require it. But
Right.
that's, there's really nothing to question there except for the follow the new direction.
Okay. That's easy and that's what I figured, but I just wanted to make sure. And then second question, on all of my documents, when I sign them and notarize them, if they ask me for like my role in the transaction, I've always put signing agent.
And
And I recently had somebody shoot like a deed of trust back to me and said that that wasn't an acceptable type to put, and they wanted me to redo it and put notary public.
okay, I'm not quite, so I'm sorry, somebody walked by and asked me something in the middle of that. When you are handling loan signing documents, there can be documents, the Patriot Act is one, where you are going to use notary, you're going to use signing agent as your title, and you are not allowed to use notary public as the title because you're not notarizing the document, and you only invoke your formal title when you're acting with the hat of notary. And in that document, you're not, and it would never be appropriate for you to use notary public on that. A deed of trust, on the other hand, you would always notarize using your title of notary public because that's what you're doing. So did I miss something in there, Shayla?
No, but you did get me to think about it, because on like every deed of trust and other documents that I've notarized, I've always put signing agent and I've never had an issue.
Yeah, so it doesn't belong there because
Okay.
you're notarizing. You're acting as a notary.
Okay. I will make that change and move forward. Thank
Very
you.
good. All right. You're welcome. Thanks for sharing. All right, Wendy.
Okay. I don't have a question. I just wanted to share this little story. I do a lot of hospital signings, and the other day, well, and I've had in the back of my head, because everybody doesn't usually have their current IDs with them at the hospitals. So I kind of run down, I have a breakdown of what I tell them we need and witnesses and all that. And I get over there the other day, and this guy, the people did not review the power of attorney prior to my arrival. So the son-in-law stood there and read 7 pages of a power of attorney, word for word, to the signer, while I had to stand there and wait. So it just kind of made me chuckle, even though, it took a long time, but I thought that is now something I need to put on my checklist. Please review before I get there. So that's all. Just wanted to share that little story.
Well, let me just add to that, Wendy, because when I was a newer notary, those kinds of things happened to me. And so that's why I have an intake sheet that, I list all the possible concerns I have with the most common things that I handle, like in a hospital. And of course, the IDs is one. Whether a document needs a witness or not is another one. The fact that they're alert and aware, are they taking any medications that may not make them so? Have they reviewed the document? So if I said you're signing a power of attorney, you know who you've named to be your attorney in fact. These are things that I like to go through with either the signer or with the caller for the signer. That's usually more when there's issues, because I don't want to arrive and have what happened with you, which is I'm there a lot longer than I should be, and or there's something that is not fixable and I have to leave and come back. So yeah, for anybody who does hospital work and skilled nursing work, and actually it could be even just somebody's home, make sure that you've covered what Wendy is talking about, that you've covered that ground to know when you get there, they're going to have the right ID, they have their completed document, all of these things have been addressed before you get in the car, right? Because you're going to end up building some non-billable time. Now, if that's all handled and then I get there and it's not how they said it was, now I'm charging money for that. That's when I start saying, you know what, I have a wait time, I have a processing time. If I have to come back second trip, that's an extra fee. If I got them to agree with me that they had those things in order and then they didn't. Yeah.
I have another thing. I don't know how it is in other states, but in Pennsylvania, the nurses are not allowed to be witnesses. And I've run into that problem a lot where they will refuse to do it.
Almost everywhere.
Okay, and then a client had told me, oh yeah, the nurses said that they could witness. I got there and then they got in trouble by the head nurse. They got called into the office and the doors were closed. And so I ended up standing there an hour for that one after the nurses and everybody decided that they weren't going to do it. And
Yeah. As a general rule, you're not going to get the nurses, the staff at hospitals and skilled nursing to witness documents. They just won't because of liability concerns.
right,
They
yeah,
just won't do it.
yeah. So,
Okay.
okay,
Well,
well,
thank
it's
you.
just a point now that I need to get that intake form done.
And if you don't have your own, by the way, Kim Flanagan, Notary Allies, if you go to her website, she has one that's been put together. I vetted it for her and it's fantastic. It really helps with the appointment to be able to just check down and not have to rely on my memory from one moment to the next that I'll remember to ask all the right things.
Okay, great, I'll check that out.
All right, thank you. Phil.
Hey, Laura, good to see you as always. As most of Joel's conversation really hit home with me in so many ways because you might be able to tell I don't sound myself, but for the last 5 days, I've been basically sick in bed. And the last 5 days, I've made over $3,000 just from what I put together. And I don't know what what folks are looking for. Usually when I come on here, I talk about how you can how you can have a service that will protect your business, protect all the important things that are important to your family, et cetera, et cetera. But as entrepreneurs, and all of you are entrepreneurs in here, you've got to find out what your vehicle is. And as entrepreneurs, you all have great work ethic, but work ethic when you're earning linear income. And that's one of the big things I talk about in my presentation that'll be happening in about 15 minutes. I talk about linear income, talking about trading time for money. And honestly, trading time for money is never, it's not a bad place to start, but it's never where you want to end. And some of the things Joel talked about so specifically were the geographic limitations that he had. Well, make sure your vehicle doesn't have geographic limitations or boundaries. He talked about being older. Well, make sure your vehicle doesn't have any forms of discrimination, whether it's age and whether it's education. And I'm not saying people naturally discriminate, but naturally in most businesses, all those things are important factors to your success. We have a service that everyone needs, they don't have, or they don't understand, and everyone can afford it. And we're one of the fastest growing companies in the country. And if you haven't sat through my little 25-minute presentation, please take the time to do that. I know Laura and Bill and so many other people, Laverne, so many folks I work with here, kind of understand the basics. But if you're looking to generate a source of income that can take care of you for the rest of your life, I have a vehicle that can help you do that. So please, I'll put my information in the chat. But as I mentioned, it just touched me in regard to what I have, what I can help you do. And that's all I live for now. I put myself in a financial situation where I really don't ever have to work again, but I love what I do and I love helping people. So please take advantage. Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate that. And I know Phil's got his number already in the chat for us. Cahill. Go ahead and unmute.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Newly commissioned notary here, so I have a beginner question. I am having trouble navigating the NNA website. And I don't know if it's just me, am I missing something, but it just seems really hard to find what I need when I need it. So right now, my question is, I purchased the package and I recall one of Bill's previous calls about purchasing the NSA certification or background check and test. And so I did that, but now I'm trying to go back to take whatever NSA certification I'm supposed to take. And I don't find anything that points me to, okay, you've purchased this, now here's where to go to fulfill that.
Okay, so what you're going to want to do is, first of all, you log into the website.
I did.
Okay. And when you log in, I don't know if it's on the left side, but it's under member stuff. There's the training center. That's where you want to go.
Okay, training center. Okay.
And that's where your class is and your test is.
And the funny thing is I've been there before, but navigating back to it, I'm like, why am I having trouble finding where I was?
Well, if that doesn't help you, reach out to me directly and I'll navigate it with you offline. And my cell number is 209-606-4938, and I can help you with that.
You said 209-606-4938?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, let's see, we still got a few minutes. Laverne?
Hey, Laura, I'm glad to see you today.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Phil. I'm glad you're feeling better also. To answer your question that was asked earlier in reference to passports, if you're not getting any satisfaction from your SOS, the next best site is to go to the USCIS, which is your Customs and Immigration Service. They'll have the latest update on all passports worldwide. So if you have a problem going get local, go to the USCIS website. They'll give you all the information you need. And that's all I have.
All right, thanks, Laverne. I only have a minute or two. Julie, you've been up already. I'm gonna just check with, is it Tanzania?
Yes. Hi, Laura. Yes, it's Tanzania.
Tanzania.
Yes, I know we don't have a lot of time, but I did have a question regarding what one of the other callers asked about regarding a hospital visit where she had to wait on the nurses to then come up to the conclusion that they couldn't sign or as a witness. And I was wondering, is that a service that notaries can do, that we can provide witnesses for hospitals for signatures?
Yeah,
Without
absolutely.
notarizing?
Yeah, we can provide witnessing service. Sometimes I'm asked when I tell them, sometimes I'm asked when I find out that the document needs a witness, they will ask me, can you provide a witness? I've had loan signing companies ask me that. I've had people in hospitals ask me that. Trust work I do, sometimes I need a second witness. And so I'm asked by the attorney, can you provide another witness if you're going over there? And then I pay those witnesses, so I charge for it. Now, if I'm notarizing and a document within their package needs one witness, I don't charge them for witnessing. I'm already there notarizing. But if they don't need it notarized, they're just asking for witnessing, I can charge for a service for witnessing.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, guys, it is going to be 1 o'clock here in about 20 seconds. So I thank you all for being with us today. Matt, I hope you do something fun this afternoon. I have a short birthday song for you. This is your birthday song. It isn't very long. Have a great day. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of it. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.